Hey, what's up guys? So today I'm going to be talking to you about duplicating ad sets. A very common question related to Facebook advertisement. I see it all the time. So when you have a good campaign, and let's say that campaign has 3 ad sets, okay? So maybe 2 of those 3 ad sets are generating sales for you, are working really well, and you have them at $5 per ad set. You know, you're spending $5 every day per ad set, so maybe $15 per day in total. So what many people do is that they just duplicate the ad sets a ton of times, because if ad set number 1 is doing twice the money every day, if I have 10 ad sets, then obviously I'm gonna be doing way more money, because having 10 ad sets is not the same as having 1 ad set. Having 10 ad sets doing twice the amount should be much better. But Facebook doesn't work very logically. For you, that may be very logical, because if you have 1 ad set that's doing twice the money and you duplicate it, the logical part says that other ad set should be doing twice the money as well. But it doesn't really work that way, because Facebook's algorithm, it just doesn't like duplicate all the success of the other one and makes it happen. So if that would happen, then everyone would be rich. Okay, so many people like to duplicate, other people don't like to duplicate. But here's the thing about duplicating, and here's the real thing about it. There's really no problem to duplicate ad sets if you're on low budgets and have big audiences. So if your audience in that ad set is of 1 million people, and you're spending $10 for that ad set, and you duplicate it to the same audience, it's the exact same ad to the same audience, and $10, you shouldn't be seeing any overlapping, right? Because you are using that budget is very low. So the amount of reach you will have every single day is so low compared to the total amount of the audience that you won't compete against yourself, because the budget is so low. On the other hand, if you have an ad set that is on $1,000 per day and the audience is 300,000 people, and you duplicate that exactly the same, and the new ad set is spending $1,000 per day to the same 300,000 people, since you're spending that much money, you will reach a big part of the 300,000 people. Okay, probably you will even reach like 200,000 people every single day per ad set. So if you have 2 ad sets that are showing the exact same ad to these 300,000 people, and you have a huge budget, then you will be competing against yourself, because the budgets are so high and your audience is not that big. Okay, now if you have a big audience, like 20 million people, and your ad sets are very high budgets, you still should be fine, because your audience compensates for the budget. You have such a big audience that even though you have massive budgets, you still have a lot of people to show your ad to, so you shouldn't see a lot of overlapping. So to answer your question, if you're just starting out and you are with low budgets and you duplicate ad sets, you shouldn't be competing against yourself if you have a decent sized audience. Okay? Now, if you really want to scale hard, like really spend a lot of money, then I wouldn't suggest you duplicate the ads exactly the same. Always change something, either if it's the gender, if it's the placement, if it's the bid or the budget. Always change something so that Facebook actually shows your ad to another segment of people, to another group of people. So your audience might be this big circle right here, but by changing the bid or by changing the gender, one ad set will show the ad to this segment of people within the big circle, and the other ad set will show the ad to the other segment of people, because you change something about the ad set. So that's pretty much the truth about duplicating. Don't worry about it too much if you have low budgets and big audiences. Worry about it if you are doing massive scaling, you don't have a big audience, and that's really gonna trigger overlapping. You will be competing against yourself, and you will find that ad set 1 was doing very well, and you duplicated, and by duplicating that, ad set 1 kind of got ruined because you started competing against yourself. So guys, pretty much that's the thing about overlapping. If you do it the right way, I mean, it shouldn't give you a problem and you should be making more money. But also think about it long term. How much do you want to scale? How big is your audience? And take those things into consideration so that you actually know when to duplicate and when not to duplicate. But honestly, here's my real thing. I don't like to duplicate. I always change something when I duplicate the ads, either the gender, placement, bid, budget, or audience. That's pretty much what I got. If you like this video, I'm getting like kind of a strange voice because I recorded so many videos. If you like this video, be sure to smash that subscribe button, like this video, comment below. I will get back to your questions, and I will see you in the next video.